On Wednesday, Theresa May announces that she's triggering Article 50. UKIP, my party, we were set up 23 years ago to get us out of the European Union. Job done. We've won.
Is that the only reason for UKIP's existence? Many would say UKIP is a much bigger force than that.
Obviously, when you get into politics and people are elected to do things, there are all sorts of things you can convince yourself you're there to do. But, you know, I think the fundamental reason for UKIP, certainly the reason that I made that switch and the reasons why I think millions of people around the country made the switch to UKIP, was over the Europe question. And we can be sure now, we can be absolutely certain that Brexit is in good hands. We are going to leave, and all of the things that Vote Leave campaigned for are going to come to pass. It's wonderful. This is a moment for celebration.
You're doing this a few days before the Prime Minister triggers Article 50, starting that period of negotiation that will lead to the withdrawal. Why have you done it now?
I thought of maybe doing it a couple of days afterwards, but then I thought it's such momentous, wonderful news. You know, I thought actually saying it now might allow a bit of context. I want people to actually go onto my blog and read what I've said. I avoided putting something in a newspaper or briefing a journalist. I thought, write it on my blog. First of all, see if anyone reads my blog. It took them a while, and then let people actually see what I've said in my words. I want people to understand. You know, for me, getting out of the European Union is so important. I care so passionately about it. I was prepared to change parties, trigger by-elections. It's happening in 3 days' time. It's wonderful.
What is going to happen now? Because you say that you are going to sit as an independent MP without triggering a by-election. Now, you can do that. Technically, you can do that. But morally, should you be doing that?
Well, if I was switching party, I would, without question, call a by-election. I know that because I was the first MP in, I think, 26 years to do that. No one makes you, but I felt when I was a Conservative and wanted to join UKIP, I felt a moral obligation, a democratic obligation to do that. But I'm not switching parties now. I'm demonstrably not changing. I'm not crossing the floor. I'm going to still sit in opposition. I'm going to be holding the government to account. If you entered a world in which you would automatically have a by-election if you left a party, far from actually empowering constituents, that would actually strengthen party bosses. So I think this is entirely right, entirely consistent with the principles of direct democracy. And, you know, I've stood for election 4 times in Clacton and Frinton. I've won 4 times. And I'm now, without the paraphernalia of the party hierarchy, able to focus entirely on meeting my constituents' needs.
And yet there are people within UKIP, you might expect this, but who say that you really should stand for re-election. You were elected with UKIP support, UKIP shoe leather, UKIP leaflets, UKIP support behind you.
Of course,
surely you should.
There are always going to be 1 or 2 people who don't reciprocate the goodwill and the amicable feelings that I feel for my party as I leave. I wish UKIP well, and I have tremendous respect for those many thousands of people I met when I was in UKIP. They're heroes. They're the heroes of June the 23rd. But there are always going to be 1 or 2 who perhaps, you know, won't take yes for an answer. Look, we're in this business for one reason: getting out of the EU. That's happening on Wednesday. Let's not snipe at each other. If you want to be angry with the modern world, you know, please find something else to be angry about.
So let's be clear about this. You will not stand down to trigger a by-election.
I'm not calling a by-election. I'm not changing parties, so I have no need to. If I was to join the Conservatives, not that I am a terribly good Conservative, but if I was to join the Conservatives, then of course I would call a by-election, but I'm not doing so.
And you have no intention of joining the Conservatives?
Theresa May has done a fantastic job. The past 8 months, her trajectory is absolutely spot on. 2020 is a long time away. Let's wait and see. But I'm not going to join the Conservatives as the MP for Clacton.
OK. You've said in your blog, and you said to me just now, that your leaving UKIP is amicable, it's friendly. But we all know that relations between you and the previous leadership of UKIP, Nigel Farage, their backer Aaron Banks, have been anything but amicable. How much has that influenced your decision? I've
very rarely made any big decisions in politics with reference to either of those 2 individuals and their priorities. My decision to trigger a by-election was in order to make sure we got a referendum. My decision to back Vote Leave was in order to make sure that the right people ran the right sort of campaign. When I called the by-election and when I celebrated the victory in the Clacton by-election, I talked about the need for a Euroscepticism that appealed to all Britain and all Britons. And I feel very much that, you know, you win in politics from parish councils to referendums by being positive and optimistic. I listen to all sorts of criticism and advice from some people who are perhaps, you know, take a slightly different view.
You didn't frankly have the balls to put country before party.